Welcome to the Green Boater TV and our exclusive Marine EV Leadership Series. Today, we're joined by Tyler Temple, the visionary CEO and co-founder of Pollentia. Tyler, welcome to the Green Boater TV.
Thanks for having me.
I guess that still goes back to what you first saw when you were on the aircraft carrier. You had all this technology and you had a system, as you mentioned, these people all working together like a big computer. The technology, when you moved into the private sector and you saw what was going on there, is really lacking. Like the boating industry has been laggards, haven't they? They've just been putting out the same old stuff since the 50s. And now with all the new tech and what you saw on the aircraft carrier, it really showed a gap and an opportunity.
Absolutely. And a lot of the industry itself has truly just been like an old school. And, not to, bash anybody in the, boating space, but, they're craftsmen. Right. And so when it's already enough trouble to have to go through building a boat and building a shipyard and managing all of that, especially if not many people are that tech savvy, what happens is that you consistently have all these kind of problems according to other boat manufacturers that, hey, we don't have the strong arm or the money to be able to allocate an entire tech firm that's going to, be our own and all internally. Because again, they still need to be kind of more, on the positive in terms of capital. And so that was kind of my understanding too, is that, we are tech people. Even before we were with building the Ventus, which is still being designed and developed, we're working with the manufacturer directly, right? They're an OEM boat builder who builds boats for other companies. So what we were doing even then is no different than what we're still able to do now. Right. So we weren't like, we're going to lose our factory and lose all these different real estate developments that we were working on, et cetera, because we're making this pivot, but rather, okay, we can enhance out our kind of outreach more globally by being able to offer our technology directly to manufacturers.
I noticed on some of the reading I've been doing about Pollentia online, you talk about a philosophy which is prioritize intelligence first and hardware second. What does the Pollentia Intelligence Core do? And how is it more powerful than just, you answered part of this, but how is it more powerful than just building physical boats?
Well, one of the biggest things, and I guess the proper advantages for Pollentia was that back in 2020, when, the idea hit me while I was sitting at a porthole, I noticed one of the really big fun things is, this for ChatGPT. So that was like, there's no reference. Right. Or there's no direct source to look at besides sci-fi movies and looking at things like Iron Man or Interstellar or, with Passengers or whatever the case is. Being able to kind of look back and say, okay, this should not be a chat agent. That could be a part of it, but that's not the core element of what this is. So what we do and what we were doing with the Ventus and still doing is that we embed this kind of processing kind of supercomputer in some way into a boat that merges itself with the hardware and electronic components, and therefore kind of synergizing all those different complex and outdated systems into one, but also being able to be modernized where everything else is able to be over the air. So in other words, we're preemptively setting up the kind of hardware electronic components. So for example, if you wanted to have developer controls towards the propulsion system, then you're able to have that preset up, and then if anything else you want to get is over the air, and you're wondering, hey, I'm a fishing boat, but I want to go into racing mode all of a sudden, then, hey, you go into the network and it's already been set up for you to where you don't have to worry about that. If you're wanting to go full max in like a few seconds, then sure, that's totally up to you. But if you're like, hey, I want to get logistical information, you're able to still get those things as well. So kind of having those other core components, like just some of the rollout features that we have now are things like predictive maintenance, collision avoidance, damage diagnostics, auto docking, just to name a few. And then obviously the Code Captain, which again is playing into my experience on back in the Navy of those 5,000 people compressed into a file and having those 5,000 eyes all over. Right. So that's the kind of intentional rollout of where we're trying to put this kind of messaging into towards how the technology works. But again, it's in other words, like embedding Jarvis into a boat. Yeah.
Thanks for joining our chat with Tyler Temple. Follow the Green Boater for more conversations with marine EV leaders.